You know that feeling when your heart stops? Not metaphorically. I mean that actual moment when everything inside you just freezes. That happened to me on December 27th, standing in my doorway, staring at a package I'd sent with so much hope just days before. My name is Emma. And this is the story of how a returned Christmas gift became the beginning of the most painful, and most empowering, chapter of my life. It was 2 days after Christmas. The house still smelled like pine and cinnamon. Wrapping paper scraps were still scattered in corners I hadn't vacuumed yet. I was in my pajamas, coffee in hand, when I heard the doorbell. The mailman handed me a box. A familiar box. My box. I felt my stomach drop before my brain even caught up. There it was. The carefully wrapped package I'd spent weeks preparing. The gift I'd poured my heart into. And stamped across the top in cold, official red letters, refused by recipient. Return to sender. My hand started shaking. I stood there in the doorway, frozen, as the winter wind bit at my face. The mailman was already walking away. Cars passed by on the street. Life kept moving. But mine had just stopped. This wasn't just any package. This was the gift I'd sent to my sister. My only sister. Olivia. We'd been close once. Inseparable, actually. Growing up, we shared everything: secrets, clothes, dreams, midnight snacks stolen from the kitchen. She was 3 years older than me, and I looked up to her like she hung the moon. When she moved across the country 5 years ago for her dream job, it hurt. But we stayed in touch. Or so I thought. Over the past 2 years, things had gotten distant. Calls became shorter. Texts more generic. She was always busy. Always had something going on. I tried not to take it personally. She had a big career, a serious boyfriend, a whole new life out there in California. But this Christmas, I wanted to do something special. Something that said, I still care. You still matter to me. So I made her a memory book. A handmade scrapbook filled with photos from our childhood, birthdays, holidays, that road trip we took when I was 16 and she was 19. I wrote little notes beside each photo. Inside jokes. Memories only we shared. I spent hours on it. Days, actually. I found old ticket stubs, pressed flowers from Mom's garden that we used to pick together, even a silly drawing she'd made me when I was 8. I wrapped it carefully in silver paper with a red velvet ribbon. I wrote her a card. A real, heartfelt card telling her how much I missed her. How much I wanted us to be close again. I told her I loved her. That no matter how far apart we were, she'd always be my sister. I shipped it 2 weeks before Christmas so it would arrive on time. I tracked it obsessively. Watched it move across the country. I saw when it was delivered. December 23rd, 3:47 p.m. Someone signed for it. I waited for her call. Or a text. Even just a quick, got your package, thank you. Nothing. Christmas Day came and went. I called her. Voicemail. I texted. No response. I told myself she was probably just overwhelmed with her boyfriend's family, with holiday chaos. I tried not to feel hurt. But now I was standing here holding the package. Refused. Not just ignored, actively refused. She didn't even open it. I carried the box inside with trembling hands. Set it on the kitchen table. Stared at it like it might explode. The tape on the sides was still intact. She hadn't even looked inside. I sat down. And I cried. I'm not someone who cries easily, but I cried. Big, ugly sobs that made my whole body shake. Because this wasn't just about a gift. This was about 5 years of slowly losing my sister. This was about every unanswered call. Every short text. Every excuse. This was the final message, delivered in red ink: I don't want anything from you. After I cried, I got angry. The kind of anger that burns slow and deep. Who does that? Who refuses a Christmas gift from their own sister without even opening it? Without even a phone call to explain why? I grabbed my phone. Called her. This time, I wasn't going to accept voicemail. It rang. And rang. And then, she answered. Emma. Her voice was flat. Annoyed, even. Olivia. I just got the package back. The one I sent you for Christmas. It says you refused it. Silence. Are you serious right now? I pressed. You didn't even open it? Look, Emma, she sighed like I was inconveniencing her. I'm not doing this. I don't need your guilt gifts. Guilt gifts? Olivia, it was Christmas. I made you something. From the heart. The least you could do is. The least I could do? Her voice sharpened. Emma, I have my own life now. I don't have time for this nostalgic sister stuff. We're adults. We've grown apart. That's what happens. My heart was pounding. So you just refuse a gift? Without even looking? That's your way of handling it? I didn't want to lead you on, she said coldly. I'm moving forward with my life. I think you should too. And then she hung up. I sat there, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to dead air. Moving forward. Like I was something holding her back. Like our entire childhood, our bond, everything we'd been to each other, was just baggage she needed to drop. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying her words. Her tone. The coldness. This wasn't the sister I knew. Or maybe I never really knew her at all. But something shifted in me that night. The sadness started to harden into something else. Resolve. If she wanted to throw me away like I meant nothing, fine. But she was going to see exactly what she was throwing away. And she was going to regret it. I just didn't know how yet. For the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about it. About her. About what had gone so wrong between us. I needed answers. Because the Olivia I grew up with wouldn't do this. Something had changed her. I started digging. Not in a creepy way, just looking at what was public. Her social media had always been active, but I realized I'd stopped really paying attention to it over the past year. I'd see her posts, sure, but I never looked closely. Now I looked. And what I found made my blood run cold. Olivia's Instagram was full of photos. Her boyfriend, Derek. Her new family, as she captioned one post, Derek's parents, his sister, his nieces and nephews. Fancy dinners. Beach vacations. Wine tastings. Her whole life looked like a Pinterest board. But that wasn't what caught my eye. In photo after photo, there were comments. Lots of them. And one name kept appearing. Over and over. Amanda. Amanda wasn't just commenting, she was eyeing the photos. Thanksgiving dinner. Christmas Eve party. Shopping trips. Girls' nights. She was tagged as my real sister in one caption. Heart emojis. Inside jokes. The kind of closeness that used to be ours. I felt sick. I clicked on Amanda's profile. She and Olivia worked at the same company. That's how they met. And apparently, over the past 2 years, Amanda had completely replaced me. I scrolled further back. There was a post from 18 months ago. Olivia and Amanda at brunch. Caption, when you find your soul sister at work. Family isn't always blood. Family isn't always blood. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. But I kept scrolling. And then I found something that made everything click into place. A post from a year ago. Olivia and Derek's 1-year anniversary dinner. Amanda was there, of course. But in the comments, there was an exchange I almost missed. Someone asked, "Where's your real sister? Doesn't she live out east?" Amanda replied, some people are stuck in the past. Liv's moved on to better things. And Olivia had liked the comment. My hands were shaking again. Not from sadness this time. From pure rage. Better things. I was the past. Something to be moved on from. And this Amanda, this stranger, had somehow convinced my sister that I wasn't worth keeping around. I needed more information. So I did something I'm not proud of, but I don't regret. I reached out to our cousin, Jenna. She lived in California, not far from Olivia. She and Olivia used to be close too, though they'd also drifted. Jenna, I texted. Can we talk? It's about Olivia. She called me within 10 minutes. Emma, oh my God, I was wondering if you'd ever reach out about this. About what? Jenna sighed. About how Olivia's completely changed. I barely recognize her anymore. She told me everything. How Derek's family was wealthy. Very wealthy. How Olivia had gotten obsessed with fitting into their world. How Amanda, who came from money herself, had become Olivia's guide to this new lifestyle. She's embarrassed by where she came from, Jenna said quietly. I heard her at a party once. Someone asked about her family, and she made it sound like she grew up with nothing. Like she had to claw her way up. Emma, you guys had a good childhood. Your parents gave you everything they could. My throat tightened. She's embarrassed of us? Of anything that doesn't fit her new image, Jenna confirmed. I tried to stay close to her, but she started canceling plans. Making excuses. Then Amanda started showing up to everything instead. It's like Olivia decided to rebrand her entire life, and that meant cutting out everyone who knew the real her. Including me. Especially you, Jenna said sadly. You remind her of who she used to be. After I hung up, I sat in silence for a long time. Everything made sense now. The distance. The coldness. Refusing my gift, a gift full of memories of our real life, our real family. She didn't want to be reminded. She'd chosen a new life. A new sister. A new version of herself. And I was collateral damage. But here's what Olivia didn't understand. You can't just erase people. You can't rewrite history. And you can't betray someone who loved you and expect no consequences. I wasn't going to beg for her attention anymore. I wasn't going to keep trying to reach a sister who'd already decided I didn't exist. No. I was going to show her, and everyone in her shiny new life, exactly who she'd thrown away. And I was going to make her watch as I became everything she'd never have the authenticity to be. The revenge wouldn't be loud. It wouldn't be dramatic. It would be something far more powerful. It would be my success. My happiness. My real life, lived without apology. And it started with a decision I made that night, sitting in my kitchen, staring at that returned package. I was done being the sister she left behind. It was time to become the woman she'd wished she'd kept. The thing about betrayal is that it either breaks you or builds you. I'd spent enough time broken. Now it was time to build. I started with myself. Sounds simple, right? But I'd spent years making myself smaller, trying to fit into my sister's life. Accommodating her schedule. Understanding her busy excuses. Putting my own dreams on hold because I was so focused on maintaining a relationship with someone who'd already left. Not anymore. I looked at my life honestly for the first time in years. I was 28 years old. I had a decent job as a marketing coordinator, but I wasn't passionate about it. I had friends, but I'd let those friendships fade while I obsessed over my sister's absence. I had hobbies I'd abandoned. Dreams I'd shelved. I made a list. Not a revenge list, a life list. Everything I'd wanted to do but kept putting off. Number 1, finish my graphic design certification. I'd started it 2 years ago and quit halfway through when work got busy. But the truth? I'd quit because Olivia had told me it was a saturated market and I'd never make real money doing it. I'd let her opinion kill my dream. I re-enrolled that week. Number 2, get serious about my health. Not for looks, for me. For energy. For confidence. For the feeling of accomplishment. I joined a gym. Found a trainer who didn't make me feel intimidated. Started showing up 3 times a week. Number 3, reconnect with the people who actually showed up for me. My best friend Sarah, who I'd been neglecting. My parents, whom I'd been keeping at arm's length because talking to them made me miss Olivia. My cousin Jenna, who clearly understood what I was going through. I called Sarah first. "Emma." She answered like she'd been waiting for my call. "Where have you been?" "Lost," I admitted. "But I'm finding my way back." We met for coffee that weekend. I told her everything. The package. The phone call. What I'd discovered about Olivia and Amanda. And Sarah, being Sarah, got furiously protective. "She refused your gift?" Sarah's eyes went wide. "Emma, that's not just cold. That's cruel." "I know. So what are you going to do?" I took a sip of my coffee, feeling a smile tug at my lips. "I'm going to live my best life. And I'm going to make sure she sees every second of it." Sarah grinned. "I like this energy. What's the plan?" Over the next 3 months, I threw myself into transformation. Not revenge, transformation. There's a difference. I finished my graphic design certification with top marks. My final project was a complete brand identity package that my instructor said was professional level work. She connected me with a small business owner who needed a designer. I took the freelance job. Then another. Then another. Within 2 months, I had enough freelance work that I could quit my marketing job and go full-time as a designer. It was terrifying. And exhilarating. I started an Instagram for my design work. Posted my projects. Shared my process. I wasn't trying to be an influencer, I was just documenting my journey. But people responded. I gained followers. Small business owners reached out. My work started getting shared. At the gym, I hit milestones I never thought possible. Ran my first 5K. Then my first 10K. My trainer posted about my progress. Tagged me. My confidence soared. I started saying yes to things. Yes to girls' nights with Sarah. Yes to weekend trips. Yes to trying new things. Pottery classes. Salsa dancing. A book club. My life is filled up. With joy. With purpose. With people who wanted me around, I posted about all of it. Not obsessively. Just, honestly. My design work. My morning runs. Coffee with friends. My little apartment which I redecorated on a budget. Sunset photos. My dog, Cooper, whom I'd adopted on a whim, who became my best companion. My social media wasn't performative like Olivia's. It was real. Messy sometimes. Happy. Authentic. And people noticed. My follower count grew. Not into thousands, I wasn't famous. But into hundreds of engaged people who commented, who cheered me on, who sent messages saying my journey inspired them. Local businesses started reaching out for design work. I raised my rates. Said no to projects that didn't excite me. I was becoming the professional I'd always wanted to be. And then, 4 months after that returned package, something big happened. A marketing agency in my city, a well-respected one, reached out. They'd seen my work. They wanted to interview me for a senior designer position. I almost didn't believe it. The interview went incredibly well. They loved my portfolio. Loved my approach. Offered me the job on the spot. The salary was double what I'd been making before. The projects were high profile. It was everything I'd dreamed of. I accepted. The day I got the offer, I posted about it. A simple post, when one door closes, another one opens. Excited to announce I'm joining, agency name, as their new senior designer. Here's to new beginnings. Within an hour, I had over 100 likes. Comments flooded in. Sarah threw me a celebration dinner. My parents called, crying with pride. And then I saw it. Olivia had viewed my Instagram story. Not just that story. I checked my insights. She'd viewed the past 3 weeks of my stories. Every single one. She was watching. I didn't feel angry. I felt powerful. She'd thrown me away, but I'd picked myself up. She'd moved on to better things, but I'd built something real. Something she could never buy or fake her way into. And I was just getting started. It was mid-April when Olivia finally reached out. I was at my new office, working on a campaign for a local nonprofit, when my phone buzzed. A text from a number I'd never deleted, even though maybe I should have. Emma, it's Olivia. Can we talk? I stared at the message for a full minute. 6 months. 6 months since that returned package. Since that cold phone call. Since she'd told me to move on with my life. And now she wanted to talk? I didn't respond right away. Let her wait. I finished my workday. Went to the gym. Had dinner. And then, while sitting on my couch with Cooper curled beside me, I replied. About what? Her response came fast. About us. About everything. I think we should talk in person. I'm coming home next month for Mom's birthday. Can we meet? Mom's birthday. Of course. Our mother's 60th birthday. A celebration Olivia couldn't skip without looking bad to the family. I'll be at the party, I typed back. We can talk then. I was hoping we could talk before. Just us. I smiled at my phone. The party is fine. I didn't tell her I was organizing the entire party. That I'd been working with our parents for weeks to plan something beautiful. A backyard celebration, catered by a local restaurant I'd designed a menu for. Decorations I'd personally created. A slideshow of family photos that I'd spent hours putting together. When Olivia walked into our parents' backyard that Saturday in May, I saw her expression shift immediately. The space was transformed. String lights overhead. Tables with elegant centerpieces. A dessert bar. A photo booth. Everything looked professional. Expensive, even though I'd done most of it myself or called in favors from clients I'd helped. Our parents were glowing. Relatives I hadn't seen in years had come. There was music, laughter, joy. And standing in the middle of it all, greeting guests and making sure everything ran smoothly, was I. Olivia approached slowly, Derek trailing behind her. She looked good, of course. Designer dress. Perfect hair. But there was something in her eyes. Uncertainty. Maybe even discomfort. Emma, she said. This is, wow. Did you do all this? Mostly, I replied casually. I've gotten pretty good at event design. It's part of my job now. Your job? I'm a senior designer at Morrison Agency. We do branding, events, and campaigns. This was kind of a passion project, though. I smiled. For Mom. I watched her process that. Watched her realize that while she'd been trying to erase me, I'd been building something she couldn't touch. That's great, Emma. Her voice was strained. I didn't know you'd switched careers. Yeah, well. I kept my tone light. A lot has changed in the past few months. Growth happens when you stop waiting for other people to validate you. Her face flushed. She knew exactly what I meant. The party continued. I made sure to introduce Olivia and Derek to everyone, highlighting my work, my success, my happiness. Not to brag, just to exist, fully and proudly, in a space she'd thought I'd fade away from. I caught her watching me several times throughout the evening. When I laughed with our cousin Jenna. When clients I'd invited complimented my work. When our parents pulled me aside to tell me how proud they were. Near the end of the night, Olivia cornered me by the dessert table. "Emma, can we please talk? Alone?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. And I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt. I was just done. "Okay," I said. "Let's talk." We walked to the edge of the yard, away from the crowd. Olivia took a breath. "I'm sorry. About the gift. About how I handled things. I was wrong." I waited. "I've been watching your Instagram," she continued. "Seeing everything you've been doing. You seem really happy." "I am," I said simply. "I guess I just..." She struggled for words. "I thought you'd always be there. That I could come back whenever I wanted and things would be the same. But you've moved on." "You told me to move on," I reminded her. "So I did." "I know." Her voice cracked. "I was trying to fit into Derek's world, and I thought I had to leave my old life behind to do it. Amanda made it seem like that's what you do when you level up. But watching you these past months, you didn't have to change who you are to become successful. You just became more of yourself." I felt a flicker of something. Not quite forgiveness. But understanding. "Olivia," I said quietly. "You didn't just grow distant. You refused to even open a gift I made for you. You told me I was holding you back. You replaced me with someone else and made it clear I didn't fit your new image." "I know," she whispered. "And I hate myself for it." "That's something you have to work through," I said. "But I'm not waiting around for you to figure it out anymore. I spent years trying to keep us close while you pulled away. I made myself smaller to make you comfortable. I'm not doing that anymore. So what does that mean?" Her eyes were wet. "Are we done? As sisters?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "I don't know," I answered honestly. "That's up to you. If you want to rebuild this, it's going to take time. Real effort. Not just saying sorry because you saw I'm doing well and felt bad. But actually showing up. Being present. Being real." "I want to try," she said. "I really do." "Then try," I said. "But I'm not waiting around this time. I have my own life now. A good one. You're welcome in it if you can show up as the sister I deserve. But I won't beg you to stay anymore." She nodded, tears finally spilling over. "I understand." We hugged. Briefly. It wasn't the warm, close embrace we used to share. But it was something. As I walked back to the party, I felt lighter. Not because she'd apologized, but because I'd stood my ground. I'd shown her that throwing me away didn't break me. It freed me. And whether or not she followed through on rebuilding our relationship, I'd be okay. Because I'd already rebuilt myself. It's been 8 months since that returned package arrived at my door. 8 months since my life changed in ways I never expected. Olivia and I have talked a few times since the party. Short phone calls. Careful texts. She's trying. Slowly. She hasn't replaced Amanda or anything dramatic like that, but she's making an effort to be present. To ask about my life. To share hers in a more honest way. I'm cautiously hopeful. But I'm also realistic. Trust isn't rebuilt overnight. And I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with, what I'll never be okay with again, is making myself small for someone else's comfort. That ended the day I decided to stop waiting for Olivia's approval and start living for my own fulfillment. My career has taken off beyond anything I imagined. The agency promoted me to art director after just 4 months. I've worked on campaigns I'm genuinely proud of. My freelance work continues on the side, small businesses, nonprofits, people whose stories matter to me. I bought my own little house. Nothing fancy. But it's mine. I decorated every inch of it. Cooper has a yard to run in. I host dinner parties. My space is filled with laughter and friends and love. Sarah and I are closer than ever. Jenna visits regularly. My parents and I have family dinners every other week. I built a community of people who actually show up for me. And I've learned something crucial through all of this. Betrayal doesn't have to destroy you. It can redirect you. When Olivia refused that gift, she was really refusing the version of me who would accept being treated as disposable. She did me a favor, even though it hurt like hell at the time. She forced me to stop waiting for her to value me and start valuing myself. The best revenge isn't about making someone suffer. It's about proving to yourself that you never needed their validation in the first place. It's about building a life so full and rich and authentically yours that their absence becomes irrelevant. Do I wish things had been different with my sister? Of course. There's still grief there. For the relationship we had. For the closeness we lost. For the version of her I thought I knew. But I don't regret how things unfolded. Because that returned package, that cruel red stamp saying refused by recipient, was actually the universe telling me to stop delivering my love to people who wouldn't even open it. Now I give my time, energy, and love to people who treasure it. Who show up. Who reciprocate. And my life is so much richer for it. I keep that package, by the way. The memory book I made for Olivia. It's in my closet. Sometimes I look through it and smile at the memories. Not with sadness anymore, but with appreciation for the sister I once had, and acceptance of the sister she chose to become. And maybe someday, if she really does the work to rebuild our relationship, I'll give it to her again. Open this time, because I'll have shared the memories with her along the way. Earned, not gifted. But until then, it's a reminder. A reminder that my love has value. That my effort deserves reciprocation. That I am worth keeping. To anyone who's been refused, rejected, or thrown away by someone they loved, listen to me. Their rejection of you isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their inability to see it. And that's their loss. You get to decide what comes next. You can stay broken, or you can rebuild yourself into something stronger. Something that doesn't need their approval to shine. I chose to rebuild. And my life has never been better. So thank you, Olivia. For refusing that gift. For forcing me to stop waiting at your door and build my own. Because the greatest gift wasn't the one you refused. It was the one I finally gave myself, freedom. And that's something no one can ever return to sender.